Yeah. Which I think is, you kind of brought us right into like my point number 2 of like, you have to, if you want to be a more well-rounded goalkeeper, you have to understand not just like take accountability for your journey, but you have to understand, here's what I'm good at, here's where I'm not as good, and I'm ready to tackle both sides of the game. I don't want to just do what I'm good at all the time, because how am I getting better? So I think part of being a well-rounded goalkeeper is head on going after some of those things that you don't feel as good on. And it doesn't mean you never practice the things that you do feel good on, because you want to stay robust in that area. But you have to challenge yourself to kind of go after maybe protecting the space. You have to challenge yourself to maybe be more preventative if it's not your strong suit. You have to challenge yourself to feel confident and comfortable accepting pressure if that's not something you'd usually do, because the game doesn't allow you to do just what you're good at.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that requires a lot of vulnerability, and people typically see vulnerability as a weakness, whereas vulnerability comes from a place of absolute strength of like, I'm insecure about this. I don't feel comfortable in this, but I'm going to do it anyway. Right. I think viewing vulnerability as a weakness is when we say, this is a vulnerability and I'm going to run like hell away from it so that I don't have to face it. Whereas when we feel something, okay, this is definitely not something I'm great at, I lean into it, I expose myself, I get vulnerable, that is a place of absolute strength. And I think if we reframe that in our head, we could admire within ourselves, wow, I'm actually stronger than I give myself credit for. I'm actually really brave. And like, being a brave to me is a non-negotiable in goalkeeping, because you know what? Every time you step on the field, you don't know what's going to happen. You could be the best player on the field, or you could be the reason why the ball goes in the back of the net, right? And every time you go on the field, it is an act of bravery, and we need it. We need it so that we can unlock our best selves, because we never know the possibilities that could happen. If I come out for this ball, you're never 100% sure you're going to win it. You're like hoping you're going to get there first, right? But there are some risks that we have to take within a game, not knowing what the outcome is going to be. And so when we flex that bravery muscle in our assessments of ourselves and in our training, then we get to utilize it a little bit more in the games as well.
Yeah, bravery is, I think, probably the most underrated thing that, I'm not a parent, but that you could probably teach your children. I think it's the most underrated thing that coaches talk about. Like, coaches will ask so many questions of players, like, well, why didn't you do this? Or you should do this, you could do that. But like, if we try to just encourage them to be brave, make a brave choice. And if it's wrong, okay, you were brave. Right. And you just learn from that. Or maybe it went really, really well because you were brave and you came out and you punched that ball, and that's not something you'd usually do. And you're like, oh my gosh, I just unlocked this new level of myself. I just don't think that there's anything that can go wrong with bravery, because it's either you learn or you learn through not doing it.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know. I think it's a huge skill that can go a long way for a lot of people.
Two things that pop up for me when you talk about that is one is that we need to, as coaches, especially with youth players, make it a more forgiving environment, right? So
please
be brave. You make the wrong choice and we get exposed and we get scored on. It's a forgiving environment. This is not the World Cup final, right? This isn't life or death. This is youth sports. And the way you learn is by doing and making decisions. If you want to become a better decision maker, the way you do that is you make more decisions, right? So as parents, as fans, as supporters, as coaches, as goalkeeper coaches, make the environment forgiving. And number two is, I forgot number two.
Yeah, sometimes it happens.
It'd be like that today.
Yeah, listen. If the people only knew how long it took us to try to be able to hear one another on this platform, then they would understand. But so on and so forth. If she remembers, we'll come back to it. Maybe we'll do a whole podcast on it for you. Well, let's go on to point 3. So point 3 for me about being more well-rounded is be a decision maker. So you started to talk about decisions. Point 3, be a decision maker. And it's very similar to bravery in my eyes, of like, you choose, you stick, we talk. Mm-hmm. It worked. awesome. You just took inventory on maybe how far your range is now. Or it didn't work. That was a little too far for me. Next time, maybe I need to leave my feet if I want to go there, or like I can't get there. I think being more well-rounded is making a decision. When we're indecisive, it kind of shows that lack of trust in ourselves, and that could bring us all the way back to point one about taking ownership in our game. If we know who we are, if we know our strengths, if we know our areas where we need to improve, if we're brave and we make a choice, and I'm your coach, at the end of the day, I'm just happy that you were indecisive. You weren't a squirrel in the middle of the road. You didn't hesitate on yourself. You picked what you thought was the best option and you went with it and you committed. And I think for me, that shows that a goalkeeper is pretty well rounded because they put some understanding and they put some trust in themselves to make a choice.
Yeah. I remembered my second point, and it goes well with what you're saying, is that when you take no risk, that is a risk in itself.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
for example, when your team is in the attacking third and the ball is OSR, outside shooting range, and you're on your line, you're assuming no risk because you don't want that. You want to defend the goal, right? That's the main objective out of possession, is deny the opponent from scoring goals, right? And you're taking no risk. Like, I'm not getting caught out. I'm just going to stay on my line and try to protect this big goal as much as I can. When you do that, that is a risk, because now you're risking the space in front for someone to get into that space in the most dangerous area of the field, which is the space behind your center backs, right? When you are, maybe let's just say, not as an extreme, maybe your team is at a talent deficit, right? And you're playing in a low block. You're taking less risk because you want to deny the opponent from scoring, but inherently that is risky because you'll have the ball less and you need to make more meaningful attacks from the limited possession that you have. Every time you play the game, you take a risk. Knowing yourself, right? Knowing yourself in terms of your strengths will help you mitigate some of that risk. What the heck do I mean by that? If you know you are very aggressive by nature inside the penalty box and you have spread, block, and smother buttoned up and you feel good about that, then you can take a risk to be more aggressive when the ball is potentially in that gray area of I'm not 100% sure, right? Whereas if you know that you're more of a reactive goalkeeper and maybe on crosses is not your strength, that you can either take up a better starting position so that you increase your range to protect the area, or you make more cautious decisions to set back and protect the goal. You're taking a risk, yes, but it's a calculated risk in your favor. So instead of 50-50, maybe it's 60-40, which is better, right? But every decision that you make in the game, there's risk attached to it. You're never just going to play it safe without potentially risking something else in another phase of the game or another area of your game. And so helping you, when you know your strengths, when you know your areas for improvement, not only do you get opportunities in training to explore and apply what you're learning to the areas of deficiencies, but it allows you in games to play to your strengths so that you can mitigate some of that risk and take more calculated, make more calculated decisions in your favor to be able to solve problems inside of your skill set more often, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I definitely think it makes sense. And I think that it perfectly kind of ties up this podcast. Like, it brings us right back to point one, which is why I said it was cyclical. Like, you have to take ownership, but you can't take ownership if you don't look back inside.
Yeah.
You can't just rely on, let's use the example you used earlier, you can't look at your parent and say, what is it that I need? You have to look for yourself and be like, what do I feel? Where do I need support? Where do I need help? So all these things, all three of these points circle right back to one another. And if I'm not looking at me and if I'm not asking questions of myself and taking maybe those small moments post practice, post game to reflect, then it's a lot harder to do any of these points, but it's also a lot harder to develop my game as a whole.
Yeah. Let's give people a practical way to assess. Okay. Here's a very practical thing that you can do that will help you figure out where your strengths lie and where you need to continue to improve. So if you were to break down the game into 5 5 tasks. There's 5 tasks to a goalkeeper. Support the attack, communicate to limit opponent's opportunity, protect the goal, protect the space behind, protect the goal area. Write those 5 down. Where do you feel the most comfortable? And then if you want to even go further, well, I feel really comfortable with final actions outside the penalty area. I feel really comfortable. But you know what? I really struggle when the ball's bouncing. I really struggle when the attacker is clearing away faster than my defender. I struggle with spreading to my left. To my right, got it buttoned up. But I struggle with my left. In possession, break that down. Start the attack. Do I feel comfortable when being pressed? Do I feel comfortable when the opponent is not pressing me? Do I play high value passes, or I just play it to the immediate center back? Why do I not play high value passes? Is it because I don't feel comfortable solving pressure to my left-hand side? That's a lot of people's ones. Is it because I don't feel like I'm scanning and I don't know where the space is? Could be another one. Start there. Break down the 5 tasks of a goalkeeper. Where do you feel comfortable? Where do you need more support? And then ask, hey, Coach Tori, I don't necessarily feel comfortable when I'm being pressed. What are some ways I can manage that? If you need more support with that, we can help you with that, certainly, in TKI University, which is our 6-month remote course. But just ask someone, hey, I'm feeling uncomfortable in this, and I'm not really sure how to handle it. I'm not really sure what to do with that. My coach wants me to be vertically high off my line, but that makes me feel uncomfortable, right? Say that. Get some information. Make more calculated decisions based on the information that's provided to you. But you know what you don't want to do? Sit around and wait for someone to tell you what to do, because that one solution doesn't fit all circumstances. And you need to figure out not only a solution, but how to apply it in all different circumstances. What's the information that's unfolding before you? And the more you get curious about your own game, the further that you can go, the more you can target certain areas of your game so you can be so that.
Welcome to the Keeper Institute podcast. My name is Tori Corsaro. I'm a strength and conditioning and goalkeeper coach here at the Keeper Institute and your host for today's show. The Keeper Institute is a unique goalkeeper training facility in New Jersey aimed at developing better goalkeepers and better people. On this podcast, we will be discussing all things goalkeeping, character development, and more.
Welcome back to another episode of the Keeper Institute podcast. Bow, 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 bow. Nice. Katie, do your air horn.
Bum, 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 bum. I don't know. It's the best I got.
It needs work. You guys, it definitely needs work. But today I am joined by my former player, one of the goats of St. Joe's, goats of the Courage now, Katie Cappelletti. We're so happy you're here. I know you guys are missing Jill. Jill can't be here today because she's got some stuff going on with commentating, but me and Kate are going to have a good podcast for all of you, and I'm just super pumped that she's here.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited.
So, like I said, she's the GOAT. Kate played for me for 5 years, which still wasn't enough, at St. Joe's. She comes from my hometown, the 315, so, we already got that bond.
Represent.
And now she's playing professionally with North Carolina Courage. So today we're going to talk a little bit about her transition to the pros.
Can't wait. I'm so excited.
All right, Kate. So I want you to start like this. What was your journey to getting to the pros? How did it all start for you? Because I remember you being a sophomore and looking at you and being like, you want to play pro? And you were like, bug-eyed, like, yes, I think so.
Yeah.
So it was a long time coming, but after your final 5th year of college soccer, like what kind of transpired to get you where you are now?
Yeah, I think coming into school as a freshman, it was definitely a lot going on. And first college season was chaotic, as I think a lot of freshmen experience. But I think once my sophomore year hit, we were fully out of COVID at this point. Having a sophomore year and having a coach like you that like really invested in me, I felt like I was growing my game a lot. And you did ask me that question, and I had like always thought about it in the back of my mind, but I was never like, I can do this. So like just hearing somebody like instill that belief in me, I think made that really come to fruition. And so that was always kind of when I was like, oh, I don't think I'm ever going to want to hang up my cleats. Like, I'm on this 4-year time clock. Like, am I really going to be ready to do this? Like, be done. And so my junior and senior year, I think a lot of my mindset was just like a growing mentality. Like, I just wanted to become the best version of myself as a goalkeeper and as a person. I think St. Joe's facilitated that really well. I'm really lucky to have worked with you. And I think we collaborated a lot on like my goals and my aspirations. And then my junior year summer, maybe, I came to TKI and did the internship. And I think that helped me a lot grow my game. I think being in a new environment, learning from new coaches was so beneficial for me. And training amongst some of the best goalkeepers in the game was inspiring. And so being at TKI, being in that environment really helped too. And then I chose to stay for my 5th year, which I think was just another opportunity for me to continue growing and developing my game. And I think I really took advantage of both coaching, which gave me a new perspective on the game after completing my internship, training at TKI, and just like working with you. And I think you really invested in me and helped me like reach my full potential. And so I finished.
I'm going to cry. Stop it.
I finished my 5th year in the fall and immediately I think just shifted gears to what was next. And my goalkeeper coach at the Courage, Nathan, had reached out by happenstance. And it just kind of worked out that I came in January to the Courage and trained as a trialist for a couple months. I chose to stay. I thought this environment was really going to serve me. I was really lucky to be surrounded by such great goalkeepers. I mean, the goalkeeper group I came into was one of the best parts. It was such an easy transition from a people perspective. Being surrounded by good people was fantastic. So yeah, I trained for a couple months, signed a contract in May, and here we are.
She brought us right to the present.
Yeah.
I think that when a lot of people talk about, okay, I want to be a professional soccer player, or I think I want to go pro when I'm done, it's almost like so far off. And I'm sure for a long time you felt like that too. You're like, okay, but I'm at the here and the now. What are some of the steps you think you had to take or that you did take that led you to kind of taking advantage of the opportunity to go pro at the end of your 5th year?
Yeah, I think being really like honest with myself and doing a lot of work off the field. I think that's where a lot of like my inspiration came from. Like when we were watching film religiously and I would come into training, post training, we'd watch film, post games, we're watching film, and just kind of like learning how not to coach myself, because I think as a coach, you can become super hypercritical of yourself and decisions that you make. And I think I experienced that like after my internship a little bit. But just like learning the game in all the ways and by studying film and like really investing in myself and seeing the areas like, okay, this is something that I'm pretty good at, but this is something that's like really being exposed right now, and finding ways and teaching myself new tools is what like kind of inspired me to keep going and keep growing. I think is the biggest thing was like the whole process over my 5 years at St. Joe's, which is like I had a growth mindset. Like I just wanted to get better day by day, game by game, season by season. And I think a lot of that came from the work I did off the field and working together with you to target areas of my game that needed more development.
And I think it's no surprise, like anytime you level up is tough, right? So you talk about having this growth mindset. You talk about like not only doing work on the field, but having a decent amount of like things that you were putting attention to off the field. When you think about kind of that leveling up from college to pro, what's like the biggest change up or like the biggest thing that you were like, I have to receive more support here, or I need to put some emphasis on getting better here?
I think like the most glaring one was in possession. I mean, it's just like a very different game. And I think coming from a mid-major, I think I was very much so incorporated with our team in possession. And I think it helped me a lot, like be in high pressure situations. Can we retain possession? Like trying to be a playmaker. But like the jump from college to pro in possession was probably the most glaring, how fast the players are, how quickly you have to make decisions, how much faster you have to scan, how much more you have to scan. Like the pictures really change. And then like you add on top of that, like playing into your team's style, right? Like making sure that I'm attentive in film and what the team wants to accomplish, so that like when I am in these training environments and training settings, like I might not be doing things that like I'm personally good at, but also making sure that I'm doing what the team's objective is. And like that can change for a 3. Like sometimes my role is to be switching in with the team, and sometimes my role is to be scout, right? And then you are trying to do like what the other team's trying to do. So being able to adapt quickly in possession and meet those targets while like the speed of play has changed drastically. I think that was the biggest adjustment for me from college to the pros.
Yeah, I assume speed of play would be something that would like come into it, because everything just looks a little bit different. Like it's like when you go from high school season to club season, like things look different. Teams are playing different. It's faster. Like maybe you have like even more technical or athletic people. It all depends where you go. But I think that speed of play can be quite the adjustment. How would you say you adjusted to that, both from the in possession perspective, but also maybe out of possession perspective?
Yeah, I think a lot of it was trial and error and like becoming okay with making mistakes. Like my first 2 months here, like I'd miss a pass or I'd pass out of bounds or I'd get picked off even. And I'd be like, oh my God, like, did I really just do that? But the only way that I was able to adapt and learn like how to be quicker and what areas need more growth was to be okay with making those mistakes. It taught me a lot my first few months here. And I think like having support from both my coaching staff and my goalkeepers, like Casey and Mo, have been so helpful, like watching them and seeing like the cues that they're using, right? Or what touch is serving them best, right? So a lot of observing those around me, I think, has really helped. And I think like an overarching theme for me is just like always being engaged because of how quick the game goes, right? Like you can be in possession and out of possession so quickly. And the more engaged that you are in the play, I think the more easily you are like able to adapt and react to those situations. So I think that would probably be my biggest takeaway, was just like observing my other goalkeepers and trying to be engaged as much as possible so that those quick changes in the speed of play, like I kind of kept up with.
How long did it take you to like adapt to that? Because I'm also hearing a lot of like the mental side of it, right? Like you go from being a 5-year starter and playing all the time and feeling like, oh, heck yeah, I'm feeling really confident and comfortable with my feet, probably more willing to make mistakes because in college practice, because of like kind of the like interest you've accrued of like, okay, she's trying to figure out, she's working, to like you're now in an environment where you're new. Everyone is new to you, just like you're new to them.
Yeah.
And you probably feel the pressure, I'm assuming, of like, I want my coaches to believe in me, that I can be here, right? So like, how do you manage that part of it?
Yeah, it took me a long time, like a very long time, to kind of come around to the mental piece of it. Like for a while going into trainings, like I would just be like, don't mess up, like just keep the ball. And it's like that pressure, like that I don't even know is pressure in the moment, just like builds up, and I'm not doing the things that like I'm capable of doing, right? Or like playing to the ability that I think I can, just because I'm like trying to be so rigid and like follow the rules vibes, right? Like make sure I'm doing the right pass or seeing the same things that like maybe my other goalkeepers see. And I think like once I kind of came around to like the realization that like I'm going to be the best version of me if I do what I'm good at, and be okay with sometimes turning the ball over. Like that's normal. Like that happens in the professional game all the time.
Right.
I think it's allowed me to be a lot more fluid and complete more passes, and I'm not making as many mistakes as I was probably 3 months ago. To just kind of like relinquish that pressure that I was putting on myself to be this person that I'm not. And like, it's okay to be, I don't know what the expression is, small fish in a big pond, like coming into here, right? Like I'm playing behind some of the best goalkeepers and I'm learning so much. And I think making sure that I remind myself that like enjoying this process and being okay with making mistakes is all part of it. And especially in your first season, like it's taken a lot for me to get to that point, like months and months. But now that I feel like I'm here and I know that mistakes are going to happen and it's going to be okay and I can still be a great goalkeeper, I think it's helped me a lot mentally.
I love that. Do
Yeah.
you feel like that's a similar lesson you had to learn when going from club to college?
Oh my gosh, yes. So similar. And I think like even coming into this, like I was like, you're gonna mess up. You're gonna get scored on, you're gonna turn the ball over, you're gonna not catch a ball, you're gonna miss service. Like, and even though like in the back of my mind I knew those things were gonna happen, like experiencing them for the first time in a pro environment still took a toll on me.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of it, 100%.
It's funny, and I think about this a lot in life of like how many times are we learning the same lessons over and over again, or
Yes.
like how many times am I having to relearn something?
Mhm.
And it's not new, and the way I manage it isn't new. It's just like the stimulus is new. It's
Yeah,
like it's the exact same thing. I'm learning to be okay with making mistakes and recognizing that it's like maybe bad choice, not bad goalkeeper, right? Or bad game, not bad goalkeeper. It's
for
just
sure.
like you just did something that didn't work out and like being okay with that and not putting the pressure on yourself of like what other people are thinking or like what it means about you and rather just
sure.
focusing on that growth mindset. But it's just in a new kit. Like you're not wearing
Yeah.
like a different color. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? With different people. And it's so funny to me because I'm about to be 32 and like I'm still relearning the same lessons. And it's like, all right, what are you like 23?
Yeah.
Yeah, 23.
Yes.
You're 23 and you're learning the same
Yeah.
lessons and you'll probably learn them again in another environment with like new colors at some point. And it's just funny, but also not funny
Yeah.
because it's
In the
really
moment,
stressful
it's
when you're
not
going
funny.
through it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when you look back, you're like,
Wow.
man, I've done this before. I
Yeah.
did this before, but I was wearing crimson.
Yeah.
Like, so it's like a great learning experience. And something that I did hear you say is you were like, okay, it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay for me to not have my best practice. It's okay. Which you probably knew everything was going to be okay, or you knew tools because you had worked your way through it before in a different
For sure.
environment. So it's like
100%.
you're building that with yourself. Like you're building that strength to be able to tap into and deal with it the next time it happens.
Yeah.
So that kind of takes me to my next question. Going from, kind of one environment to a new environment and the difficulties of that, what does it kind of look like going from being a number one for 5 years to now you're kind of in a new role? You're playing the 3 role, and that does look a bit different. You're not in games, and practices probably looks a little different. Like, how do you make that adjustment? Because I think that can be tough for a lot of people, whether we're talking about going from one club team to another club team that now plays in a higher league, or going from a club team to your college. Like, it's really difficult for a lot of goalkeepers that we even work with at TKI, like learning that sometimes you have to wait your turn. So what
For
does
sure.
that look like for you, or how's that transition been for you?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's been definitely an adjustment, but it's also like I remind myself it's what I wanted. Like I didn't
Right.
want to go somewhere and be in a similar environment and play. I think the most that you're going to develop is when you're uncomfortable and you're in a new environment and you're surrounded by different people that are better than you. Let's shoot it straight, right? And I think that's like a lot of the reason why, like even when I went to TKI, like I got so much better because I was surrounded by pros and other aspiring pros, like college athletes that are such quality goalkeepers. And training in those environments only helped my growth, and they only made me a better goalkeeper in the long run. So I think reminding myself that like this is what I wanted, and
Right.
this is such an awesome part of the journey, right? That I get to play with Casey Murphy and Marissa Jordan every day. Like these people are awesome and they're such great goalkeepers and they're only making me better. Yes, are there days where it's hard? I'm not getting as many reps, 100%. And maybe my role that day is serving, right? But can I be the best server I can be to make them better, right? So I think those small reminders definitely help along the way. But I think I just feel so fortunate to be in such like a collaborative and awesome training environment right now because I know I'm getting better and I know that I'm training with some great goalkeepers. And I think that's all part of the process. Like, it's not going to be these sunshines and rainbows every single day. And the opportunities that I do get to be in goal with the team and I am playing, like, I'm going to make the most of those, like those 8-minute rounds. Like, I'm in there for 8 minutes and I'm going to work my tail off. Right. So I think that's just kind of like my mindset. And it's definitely changed from being a number one and playing every game. Just kind of back into like a growth mindset and making the most of like the opportunities that I get in training each week.
That is like class answer. Love it. Mic drop. No notes. It reminds me a lot of what something Jill says. Like, everyone has hard. Just choose your hard. Like, whatever path you take, there's gonna be hard. There's gonna be resistance. Like, are you the number one? It's hard because you feel pressure to retain that spot and to perform well. Are you the number two? It's hard because you're really close and you want to try to play. Are you the number three? It's hard because you're really working on like serving the people around you and being the best teammate you can be, but you're also trying to get better so that you can earn your way into that 2-1 spot, right? So no matter where you are, it's hard. Are you the coach? It's hard because you want to support your athletes the best you can and you want to be the best that you can be for the organization and have them see and feel success, right? Like, 100%. No matter where you are, it's going to be hard. Are you hurt? It's hard because you're not playing. So there's just a different resistance every step you take and every move that you make, like whether it be you're trying to get to that level or whether it be you're in that level and you're trying to remain there. So I think that what you said kind of brilliantly fits it. Like, it's tough to go from that role, but it's also really rewarding. And when you can constantly remind yourself or like find small moments to remind yourself, like, this is everything I wanted and I'm going to make the most of it. I'm going to support these people and I'm going to really focus on how I can get better. Like, there's really not much more you can ask.
Yeah. Like, it's truly like a joy to go to training every day. Like, I come out to training and I'm like, heck yeah. Like, is my role so much different now? Yes. But like, the joy that I have, like doing what I love, I think is what keeps me going every single day. Like, being out there with some of my best friends now, like, it's just part of the process. And I think being here is just going to make me a better person and goalkeeper in the long run. And it's going to be such an integral part of my career in who knows how long, but whenever that time comes.
Forever, until you start coaching with me.
Yeah, exactly. You get it.
She's going to come back to St. Joe's. It's going to be me, her, Jess Manello. We're going to have a blast.
Yeah. Best trio there ever once was.
You could be on the TikTok.
Thank God.
So this might be tough, but I want you to try for me. So I want you to think about your top 3 takeaways. And you kind of already gave us a takeaway, like when I asked you a question about like what is the hardest transition of like college to pro. But I want to know what your top 3 takeaways are going from college to pro. And you don't have to build too deeply on each of them.
I think number 1 is going to be have a growth mindset. I think that's carried me pretty far in this transition from a 1 to a 3 and just being in like a new environment. These are tough, Tori.
I know.
Put me on the spot. I think number 2 is fill your role to the best of your ability, whatever that may look like on any given day. It changes, right? Like, maybe one of the goalkeepers is out, so that's going to change what my role looks like today. And just like filling that, or maybe it's a day I'm not getting a lot of reps, or I'm not in on a match day -1 set piece day. Great. What does my role look like? Can I be a great teammate? And I think bringing that energy every day is super helpful. And I think my last one is going to be invest in yourself. I think for the longest time, I was so beyond lucky to have you and other people like Jill and Maria who invested in me. And I mean, I think back to like the amount of work that you put in for me in my college career over 5 years. And it's like, I would never be here without that. From the film sessions to the advice to any conversations that we had during the highs and the lows, I think I was like fueled by that. And it was so beneficial to have people in my corner. And I still have people in my corner now, but it looks different.
Right.
We have games to play every weekend. There is a starting 11 that has to go out there and put on a performance. And again, I have to fill my role in that, but I'm going to get better by investing in myself, watching film off the field, taking care of my body, coming in every day to the best of my abilities. And I think that's been a big change for me, is not having like that as much like one-on-one conversation. Right. And I don't know, I guess investment is not always the best word, but like you really put it all in for me, and I felt that every day. And so that just looks different now for me. And I think investing in myself and doing things that I can to help myself in this journey has been super beneficial, and a big lesson that I've learned.
I love those. Those are great takeaways. Like,
Thanks.
And the nice part about those takeaways, if you're listening and you're a parent, like, share that with your kid. If you're a player and you're not quite at the spot where you could go pro yet because you're 10, 11, 12, 18, this is a great takeaways, or these are 3 great takeaways that you can use in your next level up, whatever that looks like. Town team to travel to club, club to college, like whatever it is. Those are 3 takeaways that can really transcend. And I kind of want to just end the podcast with this. I think about a lot, like just different things or conversations we've had, like before this podcast. I was just kind of thinking, and one time I asked you to tell me, like, what was your dream as a kid? And they were like, what's something that you really wanted? And you're like, I really wanted to play college soccer. And then I said, Kate, what are you doing right now? You're like, playing college soccer. It's like, you're living your dream. You're living your dream right now.
Yeah.
And I think it's really similar. Like, what was your dream at the end of your 5 years at St. Joe's?
Yeah, be a pro.
Be a pro. And you are living that dream. And I just think it's a testament to the work that you've put in and the person that you are. And yes, you sung my praises, and I'm very grateful for that, and I'll forever be grateful for that. But
it's the truth, guys. I promise.
But honestly, it's like a testament to the work you put in. I gave you what you reciprocated back, right? And that's not what relationships are about or collaborations are about, but like it was never not heard. Like, I'd ask, would you like this? And you'd say yes, and you would do any background work you needed to, right? Like, It reminds me a lot of a player we have at St. Joe's right now, where she's like, I want to level up, and she'll come to me with XYZ and I'll help her with it. But it's like very player driven. So did I ask you if you needed support at times? Was I able to read what you needed at times? For sure. But we collaborated, and you came to me and gave me X fold because you wanted it. It wasn't just like give, right? Like, there was a lot of give and take there, and you are the one who was a student of the game. So I think that's important for people to know too, of like how much of a student and how much effort you put in both on and off the pitch to try to be the person, the leader, the teammate that you needed to be, which has led you to this spot of getting an opportunity to, live your dream. And I think that that's really special, and that's something that's important for people to know as well. Like, anytime you have a dream and you want to live it, a lot of reflection, a lot of like outside work goes into it as well. So with that being said, Kate, I'm just so glad that you were on here. I'm so glad that we got an opportunity to catch up. Full disclosure, guys, me and Kate caught up for maybe an hour before we even started recording this podcast. But I feel really fortunate, and I'm just grateful that I've gotten to be a small part of your journey, and I can't wait for you to come back for the off season and have all of you pros and aspiring pros in the facility so we can get to work.
Heck yeah. I can't wait to be back either. You're the best, TT. Appreciate you.
If you guys have any questions for her, make sure you reach out. You have a TKI email, don't you?
I sure do.
Yep. Cappelletti at thekeeperinstitute.com. If you want to train with her, I'm sure she'll be working this off season. But for now, we'll catch you later.
Bye, everyone.